Z, 1969 Algerian film directed by Costa-Gavras. It was based on real events, only in real life they happened in Greece, and in the film it's moved to France or Algeria, I'm not sure myself. Some characters have different names, some characters obviously are merged or switched around, but in general the story is based on truth. The film won 2 Oscars, Best Foreign Language Film and Best Editing, and was also nominated for 3 more. Best Picture, Best Director and Best Adapted Screenplay, which back then was called slightly differently. It was historically also the first movie ever to be nominated both for Best Picture and Best Foreign Picture. It's a political thriller reminding me a little bit of movies like Old President's Man, and I have to say I'm surprised I've never heard about it before, because it is absolutely excellent. And crucially, not just as a historical piece of cinema, but even viewed today as a modern movie, it remains great on every level. The story begins with a liberal democratic politician arriving in a city to hold a meeting, or a speech rather, for his followers. He's a member of the opposition and represents a movement focused on peace, freedom from foreign influence, and widely understood liberalism. The powers that be, the conservative military establishment, are having none of that. They try to stop this man every way they can, through means at least overtly official, like making the venue cancel at the last moment and ignoring the death threats that the members of this party inform the police about. They dismiss them as practical jokes. And also through means much more shady, secretly organizing far-right groups to come protest the meeting, assault the people there, including the politician, and incite violence. On the night of the speech, violence does erupt and leaves the politician at the hospital heavily injured, fighting for his life, which becomes very problematic suddenly for the authorities, because the issue gets public, it gets political, and suddenly a lot of people are asking questions. Eventually a prosecutor is assigned to the case to investigate it, but to the surprise of the members of the establishment, he turns out to actually be interested in uncovering the truth and bringing the responsible people to justice. So first of all, I think the film is expertly paced. The thing with older movies is that they often feel slow, especially movies like this one, which are mainly focused on conversations rather than action. But Z has this high tempo to it. It just continues to move at a brisk pace and it keeps you invested. It helps that the film is edited in a really impressive way, certainly deserving of the Oscar that it won. Some of the cuts and scene transitions or the editing of the flashbacks is just excellent. And again, if a movie did this today, I would be still impressed. And to think that this was done 50 years ago, some of these things are just wow. I think the story is very interesting, perhaps even more so because it's based on fact, and it does an important job of showing the way that corrupt authoritarian regimes operate, shows the danger of not respecting democracy and freedom of speech. I think a lot of those themes and even specific mechanisms are still relevant to this day. My favorite part was the way that the film makes you realize how much the ideological conflict between the right and the left can be manufactured by manipulation from the ruling class. How often proponents of a certain political view happen to be victims of it and don't even realize it. Specifically in this film, there are several members of this Christian traditionalist organization of conservatives that is very vocal about tradition, about keeping the country as it is, about not letting liberal agenda run it, which would bring it to ruin. But then one of those guys is constantly whining about not being able to make payments for his car because he's not making enough money in the economy. The other guy admits to being essentially illiterate. He doesn't know how to read properly because of lack of access to education. So the same people that shout that any change would be detrimental, would be bad for them, are already in a pretty shitty position in the existing system and refuse to see it. And it goes beyond economic aspects too. There's a third character also from that organization who we learn is gay and even had a prior rape conviction. Yet he's also willing to fight and kill just to defend tradition and conservatism. It's wild to me because I think it's quite universal, and the people who benefit least from existing systems are willing to defend them to the grave because they have been manipulated. So credit to this film for including this, for highlighting this, but also for doing it in a bit of a subtle way. It's never really beating you on the head with these subplots. It's just there for the audience to pick up on. I also really enjoyed the character of the investigator, who at the beginning seems like another crony and a stooge of the government, brought in to just quickly dismiss the entire investigation and sweep the case under the rug. But as time goes on, he proves to have actual integrity and a sense of justice. So overall then, I think Z is a terrific film, and I wish it was more popular, more known, included among the classics of the 1960s cinema, because it's got bite, it makes you think, but at the same time it's so well made that it never feels tedious or boring. Fantastic movie. Check it out if you haven't.